Well, good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder, and this is BRN AM for Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. And our top story today, the coronavirus is accelerating digital investments. Joining me now to discuss this and more is Randy Plavaika. He's a reporter with Fund Intelligence. Randy, thanks so much for coming back on the program this morning.
Thanks so much for having me, Jeff.
It's great to see you. So before we jump in, just want to check in, see how you and the team at Fund Intelligence are doing. A lot going on in the world. How are things going during this working from home, social distancing time for you?
Yeah, we went to remote pretty quick back in mid-March when I think it first, hit New York City by storm. And overall, the team's done great. We've adapted quite well. I think our production went up, which was kind of interesting at the time. And our management team has been nothing but supportive. They've been very quick to supply us with the technology and the services we need to get our work done remotely. So really, we're not missing a step much from what we had in the office. And I think the only thing we're missing at this point is in-person conversations. But I think we're finding that the power of the phone call and the FaceTiming is really there for us now. And we do appreciate, obviously, being able to do that still.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that interconnectivity. I think we all miss that. And when we get back to that, we don't know. But you really bring up a really good point. And I think so many businesses out there are doing this through FaceTime, Microsoft Teams, Skype, Zoom. There are probably other applications that I haven't mentioned. And there's really been a focus on digital. And I know this is an area that you and the Fund Intelligence have particularly focused on, the evolution of digital in the retirement industry in particular. So let's just dive right in. Why don't you take us through? I mean, you've seen a lot of firms roll out new digital and electronic solutions. Why don't you take us through some examples?
Yeah, I think there's been a really big focus on mobile these days, and obviously rightfully so. It's like a lot of retirement providers obviously realized when the pandemic hit that everybody was going to have to go digital. So any plans they already had in place to, upgrade their website, upgrade their app, upgrade any other services, those were just quickly accelerated, right? And I think for us, we've seen firms like Ascensus, firms like Prudential, and a few others that have just immediately been right on top of it. And they either A, increase their abilities or B, increase their staffing. Because as I'm sure you know, there still is, even though the mobile tools exist, there still needs to be a bit of a human component, especially for some people that tend to be a little bit more low tech or might prefer that human connection.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I think a lot of these firms, they already had technology solutions. So you could already access the web. You could use a mobile device. But Randy, now that the shift has happened across many industries, not just the retirement industry per se, is it your thought just in talking with, or your sense just in talking with the people at these firms as you're interviewing them, that they kind of think that the future of interaction will be mostly digital and that we really won't go back to, for example, a lot of the face-to-face, or at least not in the near future?
Yeah, I think I would definitely agree. I think there's a lot of notion that increasingly business in 2021 and beyond is going to have to be driven online or on our phones. I think a really good point that I've heard from a lot of industry players is that they're trying to make their experiences seamless in the same way that we experience Facebook, Amazon, Google, because they want to have it be an easy interface without convoluting it with all of the oftentimes, I would say, challenging financial information for some people who might not be as invested in their portfolios as others, or maybe they just want to kind of set it and forget it. So we're seeing a lot of players thinking not only about what can I do for my tool now to make it more accessible for my clients or for my users, they're thinking about how can I compete with big tech. I think that's a key differentiating point that we did not have 3 to 4 years ago. People didn't think or view Facebook as their competitor. But now people are used to having that seamless mobile experience, and you're going to hear that word seamless a lot because they want to have something that's just like, it feels like a natural extension of your hand or your arm. It's just second thought to be using it as it should be.
Yeah. Randy, you and I have talked a lot about target date funds and their evolution over the year. I know you wrote a feature, or in the process of writing a feature, about retirement income in the Secure Act, which, we were just talking about the Secure Act past 6 months ago. This was supposed to be the big issue of the decade. But is it your sense that managed accounts, so those are individualized portfolios that kind of use the underlying investments in a retirement plan. Those types of tools are where record keepers, service providers, as we call them in this space, asset managers are really, and consultants really focused on this in particular because it allows them to manage assets and help people have an individualized experience.
I definitely agree. I think managed accounts are really going to be an evolution of what this space looks like. And I think it's going to become table stakes very quickly for any retirement provider, because what it allows you to do is give a very tailored, very customized approach for every unique situation. And although, person A and person B might look very similar on paper, their actual behaviors, their preferences might be very different. You're seeing a lot more data incorporated into managed accounts. And so managed accounts of, let's say, 2010 are not what they are in 2020. There's been a lot of evolution just in how much firms are able to do with information supplied by users and participants. And in turn, they're taking that and making it into a better experience for those that are just trying to save for retirement.
And you mentioned, you're in the news, in the media, you're a journalist, you're in that business of breaking down information. Is it your sense, and I think you alluded to this, and I want to put words in your mouth in your previous comments, that I think I'll just give you my opinion, I think people are really hungry for financial information, unbiased information they can get that boils it down for them. Is it your sense that some of these record keepers, service providers, asset managers, all the people in the space recognize that and are looking for better ways to work alongside organizations like yours to deliver better and more useful content?
Yeah, I think the key word we've heard is actionable information. People want stuff that they can immediately act on, whether it's a retirement provider or just a retiree in general, somebody that's saving. Does not matter the age range. People want stuff they can take immediate action on, or stuff that they can factor into their long-term planning. And I think we're seeing a lot of providers either A, trying to be that news source to their users, or B, tapping sources like ourselves to either A, distribute that information, or B, to kind of do a bigger dive into the overall industry trends. And that's where I get to have my fun, right? As a journalist, I get to kind of look at those trends, analyze them, and then break them down for different audiences. And ultimately, like I said, create actionable information, not only for providers, but also for investors and savers themselves.
Yeah, or else you get paralysis by analysis, which Dr. Shlomo Bernartzi is very famous for saying. Randy, I want to go to a quick break, but when we come back, Randy mentioned it, we're going to talk about data, the importance of data, and what that means to the future of digital. So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? They are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
The windows on our homes, they protect us and the ones we love, but they do much more. At Renewal by Andersen, making your home more comfortable is at the center of every window we make. It's why we custom build our windows in America and install them in as little as one day. It's why we build our frames with exclusive Fibrex composite material. that's 2 times stronger than vinyl. It's why our glass helps keep your home warmer in winter, cooler in summer, and quieter all year long. It's why we stand behind every window with a 20-year limited warranty. Why not help lower your energy costs while giving your home and family the best? Call 1-800-835-6525 to schedule a free in-home consultation. Buy one, get one at 40% off with this special offer. Plus, get special financing with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 1 full year. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window. Call 1-800-835-6525 now.
Welcome back. We're talking to Randy Plavaika. He is a reporter with Fund Intelligence. Randy, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Of course, thanks for having me back on.
So you talked about this big tech, and when people think of big tech, they think of Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, all the above, right? I mean, they're thinking about that. And one of the, I think you mentioned it in your comment in segment 1, which is about big data, the importance of data, the important about actionable data. Let's talk about the collection of data. What does that mean in terms of the digital experience that many retirement plan participants, financial planning participants, or employees, that individuals that are looking for data, what does that all mean?
Yeah, I think it comes down to habits and behaviors. I think when providers are looking at data, they're not looking at my or your data to basically make this profile of, person A, person B. What's actually happening, and what some ways some providers are using data, is to actually tailor make their or fine tune their apps, their mobile experiences, etc., to basically give me an approach that only I might see on my app. And I'll give you a good example. A lot of mobile banking, a lot of mobile retirement apps, there are some that have this feature wherein if I'm only checking my account balance, I'm going in maybe weekly, bi-weekly, checking my account balance, the app will take that, and then basically their team will give it back to me. And now when I log in, I don't have to go hunt for my account balance. They might just prompt a window that says, hey, as of this week, your account balance is this. You're looking good, hold and steady. Maybe here's a bit of context or some information to educate yourself a little bit further if you're interested in next steps, but right now you're solid. So the data isn't so much being used, what I would say, against us. I think Facebook is infamous for getting into trouble with its cybersecurity issues.
Yeah.
But a lot of the financial providers, for the most part, their intentions are very, very good, because all they want to do is either A, help you save more, or B, as in right now, give you access to funds that you might need for the short term, so that way you can eventually get back on track once we return to some form of normalcy.
We've seen a lot of governments, the European Union, California, other governments really pass cybersecurity. You brought up cybersecurity and data, but do you think that with the COVID pandemic and the fact that more people are ordering online, they're doing Fresh Direct, they're doing Whole Foods, they're buying goods and services that they couldn't normally get online from Amazon. Do you think that maybe changes the lens? And many people were really nervous about sharing their credit card, some of their really pertinent private information along to some of these providers. Do you think some of that has changed as a result of this COVID pandemic?
I think there's still a bit of hesitance, maybe from people that were lower tech prior to COVID. But I would say, by and large, a lot of younger investors and people that are just in generally tuned with their technology, I think they've just kind of accepted that, we are going to have to do this in order to clear these hurdles in the short term. There might be an avenue for maybe they can still mail in information, maybe fill out a physical form and mail it in. But even then, I think most people have generally accepted that digital is where this needs to happen. And I think cybersecurity is a big concern, right? Because if I'm putting down my social security number or my credit card number, like any sane person, I am concerned about where that information might go. And I have a personal belief that your digital tools, as in your digital experience you're providing as a retirement provider, as anybody else in the space, is only as good as your cybersecurity measures. So if you can't protect private information, then how should customers go about trusting you? And I think that's what's really important, is that a lot of industry players have recentered their attention not just on having the best and the most efficient tools, but also having just impenetrable firewalls, or seemingly impenetrable firewalls that protects client information, so they don't have any mishaps on the cybersecurity side.
Yeah, you bring that up. I was just reading today that Amtrak had a data breach. How many people across this country use Amtrak, put in their information? And look, I don't think there is no firewall that is completely impenetrable. If it were, it's just not going to happen. I think you have to have the ability to layer your security and test it regularly, and you have to respond to what the threats are. And I agree. I think the industry has put a lot of money recognizing this. We've partnered with governmental entities, both at the state and local level, to put in the protocols, share the right information, do the audits. And it's my understanding now that when you do a plan audit, for example, a retirement plan audit, you take a look at the financials, you take a look at this is all for like the 5,500 and doing all those things. It has to be audited if you have a plan over 100 lives. My understanding is that even CPAs and others are looking at some of this cybersecurity. So I agree with you. I think that this is an ongoing threat. It's not one that you will just be able to push aside. We'll continue to see this, but that this will, again, shape how we view safety, how we view our privacy, and be allowing people to access their accounts online.
Exactly. Yeah.
Randy, just last question, switching gears completely. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. And, you always give us your insight as a person significantly younger than myself. But I always love hearing your perspective, a different generation's perspective. How have you and your friends kind of responded to the market yo-yo that we've been going through over the last couple months?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that are in my age range, especially like a lot of my younger millennial friends that have either A, just graduated college, or B, maybe they've just pursued a master's degree. A lot of them either don't have a really developed 401k plan right now, or they might not be employed by somebody that is actively, either A, matching their 401k, or B, offering it too. So we have to be cognizant that people in my age range just don't have the amount of savings that near retirees and at retirees do. With all that being considered, I think I have seen a lot more people be engaged with their retirement savings and just in general their investments because of, what I would call quote unquote fun mobile apps such as Acorn and stuff like that kind of allow you to invest via your phone. And so it gives me hope because people are still cognizant of their financial needs long term. And although they might be playing with, small chips on the table, it's still building really, really strong habits for the future. And I think, right now, if you look at a lot of the data, especially TDFs and other retirement savings vehicles, a lot of younger participants have not slowed down their contributions if they're still employed, and a lot of them are still maybe even increasing. It just depends on how opportunistic they view the market as being right now. But I think as we return to normalcy and we see a bounce back in employment and we see a bounce back in the USA, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, however long it is out, I think that savings habits are also going to obviously uptick with it. And it's only kind of logical to believe that, but I think right now it's reinforcing very good savings habits of let me only work on the essentials, and then the non-essentials I can eliminate, and all of a sudden, wow, I have budget for the future. So
yeah, well, I hope you're right about the savings. I guess only time will tell. Randy Plavaika, always a pleasure chatting with you, getting your expertise and your perspective. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Have a good one.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest or someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, and more, check out today's edition of The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aides, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-757-1451. That's 1-800-757-1451.